So, I heard there's a new DC Animated Universe movie out. Like, they've been really branching out beyond Batman, Superman. They did Justice Society, Deathstroke, there was a Constantine one. So what are they doing now?
Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, man. Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we are watching the latest DC animated movie, Legion of Superheroes.
Nobody's favorite superhero team. Man, we probably just got so much anger just from that opening alone.
Except for comic book creators, apparently.
I'm sure they have some fans. I know that they've had some good stuff in the past, but does anybody actually care about the Legion of Superheroes?
It's
enough to warrant a movie.
I don't know, but this is the second outing of Legion of Superheroes, and not too far away because they had the other Legion of Superheroes movie, sort of, with the Fatal Five.
Yeah, but they were mostly in the background, and only one member of the Legion was actually part of the real story.
Yeah.
And it was really just the Justice League Unlimited movie.
And then they had the Legion of Superheroes and Young Justice Season 4.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, Young Justice Season 4 is kind of,
in
general, but...
That shows, like, peaks and valleys, and then kind of just became a lot of valleys. But anyway.
A lot of fat to cut out.
Yeah.
I mean, the Legion of Superheroes, they've been around for decades. They started out in the Superboy comics before kind of branching off on their own. And they've always seemed to pop up in Superman-related stuff. And the only self-titled things they have need that Superman shield in there, like the Legion of Superheroes cartoon. They had to put Superman front and center. And this so-called Legion of Superheroes movie, it's really a Supergirl and Brainiac 5 movie.
Yeah.
Featuring the Legion of Superheroes. But don't worry about them. They're just kind of over there in the background because they kind of... They kind of suck. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I mean, look. Okay. Actually, this movie was fun for the most part, and it is enjoyable.
I liked it.
I generally like a lot of the DC animated stuff. I just think the Legion's kind of lame. I like the idea of the Legion, but the characters are so lame. They've never outgrew their Silver Age roots.
Well, Bill, you have to understand that they're so far in the future that all the good superhero names were taken.
That's the only way to justify some of their dumbass names.
Yeah, like Matter-Eating Lad and Bouncing Boy. And...
Some of them aren't even real names. They're literally just naming their abilities. My arms fall off.
I didn't know Arms Fall Off Boy was a Legion of superhero, but it makes sense because a lot of them... Yeah, a lot of them are like that.
There is like a backup team. It's like a joke team where I think that's what he's usually part of, along with like Matter-Eater Lad.
Okay.
The Legion of Backup Heroes or whatever. They mentioned it in the movie. I forgot the freaking name of it.
Yeah. Legion of Superheroes is an odd property. I think the Supergirl Brainiac 5 stuff, this is the second time I've seen it, and it's like, that's kind of like the only thing that really works for this. Oddly enough, this movie has a kind of interesting connection with the cartoon of Legion of Superheroes, because Yuri Lowenthal is in this movie as Mon-El, and he played Superman in the Legion of Superhero cartoon.
He did?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
And all I remember about the Legion of Superhero cartoon is it came out when I was kind of like a teenager, didn't really care about it, but then they had Superman X, which was like super edgy and like a even more Superman that like I was like Superman X is awesome because he's all like hardcore and he has like kryptonite powers.
He's wearing Superboy's costume without the leather jacket.
Yeah. It's badass. He's like a stronger Superman.
I think he's basically in that show in place of Mon-El.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's kind of what I was thinking was like, interesting. Yuri Lowenthal is playing Mon-El in this, but he played Superman in the other one. Technically, that was more of Superboy in the first season, but then the second season was straight up Superman.
Yeah, well, they couldn't call him Superboy due to all the legal trouble around Superboy at the time. That's why Connor was dead for a while.
So weird.
And Superboy Prime became Superman Prime.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of legal stuff for a while.
But I guess, like, plot of this movie, Supergirl gets to Earth realizes Earth is full of cavemen, doesn't like it.
Can't handle it. Just
Yeah.
literally can't. There's no version of Supergirl that adjusted to Earth that badly.
Yeah, we've kind of seen this story with Supergirl before, but the difference with this one is Superman was like, hey, why don't we go to the 31st century and you can like train there?
And it's more technologically advanced, so you'd be more comfortable.
They've got robots. And we all know how much you like robots, apparently.
Quite a bit.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
She's just used to it.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand. She's been on Earth a couple months and learned nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
It was interesting. We got to see the destruction of Krypton again. It's always like kind of weird how Krypton blows up.
It's always different.
Yeah, because like at this one, at first I was like, oh, it's like the star Krypton goes around going supernova, but then like the planet just kind of like implodes when she like flies away from it. So something. It's usually like they were mining energy out of the core of the planet or something like that.
And sometimes it's Brainiac stole a city and destroyed the core and it put the planet on a ticking clock.
Yeah.
There's various reasons why Krypton explodes. Sometimes it's just natural. Sometimes it's their fault.
Yeah.
Because allegory.
Right. But what do you want to start with this movie?
I mean, we get teased with real superheroes for the first like act. It almost makes you think Batman and Superman were going to be part of the story, especially when they cut back to Batman investigating a thing, but then they kind of just go away from that.
Yeah, they kind of keep up with the Batman, like, not really liking Supergirl at the beginning, where it's just like, she's bad at controlling her powers, and she shouldn't be a hero.
This is stupid, Clark. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Just very mean.
Yeah, I guess, more or less, we'll talk about some of, like, the, art direction of this movie, because, like, all the character designs are pretty good, but, like, there's that guy, Timberwolf.
They made him Wolverine.
Yeah, and
those mutton chops.
I mean,
if he had a gruffer voice, I'd be like, this guy needs to say bub.
It was really weird.
Because I remember him from the cartoon. He kind of looked more wolf-like.
Yeah.
Probably to avoid any kind of Wolverine comparisons.
But he is straight up Wolverine in this. He even has a fight scene that I'm just like,
oh my god.
It's like, wow, okay, Wolverine.
Just, yeah. You almost expect some claws to pop out. Someone was being a little sneaky in the art department that day.
Yeah. I'll say, like, a lot of the Legion of Superheroes, they're usually kind of generic looking, but they tried to kind of, like, spice them up. Some of them look, like, better than usual, but then, like, other ones are kind of like, that's weird. Like, I thought, like, most of them looked better than usual, except for, like, Phantom Girl, where I was just like, usually Phantom Girl looks actually, like, cooler than this. Her design I wasn't really feeling, but, like...
She's barely in the movie.
Yeah, Triplicate looked really good. Saturn Girl, from when we saw her, she's, like, older, but, like, I was like, oh, okay, I like this design of Saturn Girl. She looks pretty cool.
I guess that was Cosmic Boy, or... I don't know.
I don't know.
And... Lightning Lad, who they made black, so I'm just like, how many, like, Black Lightning, Static, why would you make him, out of the three of them, why did you pick the Lightning guy to make black?
It is kind of weird that it's like all lightning-based superheroes in DC are black for some reason.
That's just weird.
It is weird.
I don't get that.
I don't get it either.
Like, make Cosmic Boy black, whatever.
Maybe they're like, he's Black Lightning or Static's descendant from the future.
I guess they could say that.
Yeah.
Even though it's like 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
It's technically what you would consider the super future.
It really is. It's like somewhere there's New York and Bender and Fry are getting drunk.
That'd be hilarious. That's the crossover I would love to see. Futurama and the Legion of Superheroes.
I mean, much more interesting than any other Legion of Superheroes story.
It would be so great, because I would love it. Professor Farnsworth has a history with them. He's just like, these guys suck.
It's like, you only don't like us because we thwart all your doomsday schemes. Exactly. That's why you suck.
Yeah.
I want to destroy the world. I mean, they would definitely keep a file on him and his doomsday devices.
It's true. It's one of my favorite lines ever.
I suppose I could part with one and still be feared.
That would be a good crossover. But yeah, for the most part, it's kind of like a, Kara's there for almost like a school of superheroes.
Yeah, but I did find this kind of funny. She just gets one line of sight on Brainiac 5, and she's like, "Motherfucker!" and she starts attacking him.
Yeah, I will say, like, the animation for a lot of the fights in these, like, Tomorrowverse movies has been really good, though. Like, I really like how they amp it up, Like, she really gets to, like, punch stuff pretty hard. I mean, at the beginning, with the Solomon Grundy having, like, the laser gun was kind of... It's like, what? Who gave Grundy a gun? Why would you give Grundy a gun?
I mean, someone with nefarious purposes, obviously.
It's true.
Nefarious purposes of stealing Brainiac's brain.
Yes. We'll kind of get into that, because the main villain of this is kind of the Circle.
The Dark Circle?
Dark
right?
Circle, yeah.
Who are like a weird secret organization that just, they work for Brainiac.
At first when they said the Circle, I got wires crossed in my mind, and I thought it was a thing from Justice League New Frontier, but then I was like, oh wait, that was called like the Center.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, not the same thing, but oh well.
You're like, oh man, I was really hoping for an island with dinosaurs on it.
I kind of was. I was like, yes! But
oh man,
this was alright. Brainiac 5, he's had a lot of designs. I was kind of surprised seeing a design of Brainiac 5 without hair in this one.
Yeah, they lean more into like the traditional Brainiac of it all, I guess.
Yeah, like he looked pretty good, but like usually they kind of like pretty boy him up usually. But
or in the case of the cartoon, just make him like a pipsqueak.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well yeah, the original cartoon, yeah. That's right. He was kind of smaller than everybody else.
Yeah, he was like a little kid.
Yeah.
I think he got slightly taller in the second season, but that's about it.
Yeah, the second season's not too far in the future, but...
It's definitely a couple years have gone by.
Yeah. That was a good cartoon, though.
I mean, I jest with the kind of taking pot shots at the Legion of Superheroes, but that cartoon was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just some of the characters in the Legion. A lot of them because they are jokes, but the joke characters are often at the forefront. I just kind of roll my eyes.
Like Bouncing Boy.
He's so dumb.
It's just like... It's like, why?
Like
your powers are terrible.
You're like a more useless Plastic Man. He's more useful. He can do what you can do and like 1,000 other things.
Plastic Man has like unlimited power where he can just like take the form of anything.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's that time he turned into a toilet and flushed people down himself.
Man, he is like a gag character. But yeah, there's a whole plot with the Dark Circle, trying to infiltrate the Academy to get this, what they just call, like, Miracle Machine. But I'm like, okay, 31st century, ran out of good names for everything, so why not Miracle Machine?
Yeah.
There's the funny aspect of Brainiac 5, where it's like every clone of Brainiac has gone crazy. And I'm like, then why do they keep making them?
They make themselves, I guess.
Yeah, there's like the really like casual line where it's just like Brainiac 3 was like a tyrant, like Brainiac 2 was this, Brainiac 4 is just a serial killer.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like, okay. They have that throwback line from Justice League with the 12th level intellect thing. I always like when Metrom says to Lex Luthor,
only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
Then I'm overqualified.
And I'm like, man, I love that confidence. Well, I guess we should just get into the horrifyingness of like actual Brainiac in this.
I guess before that, there was it got kind of telegraphed a little early, but Mon-El's a villain for some reason?
Oh, yeah.
What's up with that?
I don't know.
That's gonna piss some people off.
Mon-El is a character I like barely know anything about except like he's weaker Superman.
Well, he's from a world called Daxamite, which is usually like a sister planet to Krypton, and they're vulnerable to lead for some reason.
Okay.
So you just shoot him. that happened in Supergirl. Somebody shot him
Nice.
with a gun.
Bullets, my only weakness. Classic line.
Yeah, and it's weird because I know he's a Legion of Superheroes character, and he's inspired by Superman. I think he often even has like little Superman S's on his like cape thing.
Okay.
And this is he's just evil.
Yeah, he's like evil in a way where he's like Krypton was like the most perfect planet, and we need to take Krypton's philosophy and make it throughout the universe.
It's one of those things that occasionally comes up. It doesn't always come up because sometimes like, oh, Krypton was a great place, but they're a little too smug. But then sometimes like, oh, Krypton fucking sucked, man.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the case here to a degree.
Yeah, it's kind of like they kind of mentioned like the Empire of Krypton
Yeah.
at one point.
Like Man of Steel was kind of that way. The Krypton show was kind of that, where Krypton was kind of a terrible place.
Yeah. Yeah, we get a little glimpse of Krypton at the beginning of the movie, like we mentioned, but that's kind of all we really see.
We only see two people.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this version, I don't know anything about like Kara's mom and like other continuities, but I guess her mom was like a general or whatever.
I think it varies. I think
Yeah.
sometimes she's also just a scientist.
Okay.
My main exposure to Kara's mom in particular was probably in the Supergirl show, and she just seemed like she was just a scientist.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure that's one of those things where it's like there's like 9 different versions of this story, and the backstory is always changing because continuity. We don't care. We just change it.
You know, DC, we'll have a crisis and then
Exactly.
everything.
The version of the character that you like, he doesn't exist anymore because the universe blew up 9 times since then.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about this because I saw someone tweeting a panel from like a Batman comic with Tim Drake beating up some like neo-Nazis and Batman being like looking at proudly, and someone was commenting like that's a proud father, and I'm like, when that was written, Tim's father was still alive. That's just a proud mentor. But then again, this version of Robin doesn't exist anymore because the universe blew up like 9 times since then.
Yeah.
Because there was like a final crisis, another crisis, a dark this, that. Dr. Manhattan was doing some shit.
Yeah, more or less. DC is complicated.
Yeah, just find good stories and read them and don't worry about the continuity. That's why I don't care about greater continuity when it comes to DC stuff, because it's just a headache.
Yeah.
I guess the movies are going to be following suit.
Oh boy.
Different
Not looking forward to that, but yeah. Anywho, let's talk about the horrifying version of Brainiac.
Oh my god! I mean, I kind of love it because of how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
That's some body horror. It's like if Brainiac came from John Carpenter's The Thing, because he's got the faces of the other Brainiacs on him because he like stole their bodies, and they're just like, no, God, no!
Yeah, he stole their bodies and they're still alive and they're all part of his being.
So crazy.
I mean, there's a part towards the end of the movie where like the other bodies of Brainiac are trying to break away from him, and it's like oh jeez.
It's pure body horror.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Lex Luthor fused with Brainiac.
A little
in
bit.
Justice League Unlimited before he gets his like perfect body, but
Yeah, a little bit. More gruesome though.
yeah. But yeah, this was like, oh boy, because I guess like Brainiac never really dies. Like his head was around, and then
If you leave one piece of Brainiac, he's gonna come back.
yeah,
You gotta like atomize this motherfucker, and even then, destroy the atoms.
yeah,
And if you can go smaller, send Ray Palmer down there, destroy what's left.
destroy all the quarks.
Exactly. You cannot leave a piece of Brainiac because then crazy crap like that happens.
Yeah,
This is actually the second appearance of Brainiac in this continuity.
I guess so,
He
right?
appeared briefly in the beginning of the Justice Society World War II movie.
Yeah, and that's right. Superman was fighting him
Yeah, Flash.
violently.
Yeah.
These movies are like still keeping up with this like weird like violence that just like happens out of nowhere, where it's just like, oh my god.
Like the sort of fake out with Triplicate Girl where she got like obliterated and her charred corpse was just lying there.
Yeah.
At first, like, oh, well, they cut away. And then they cut to the body. It's like, holy crap.
She'll get better,
Nope.
maybe. Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, it was just one of her. But
Yeah.
now there's only 2 of her.
Which happened in the other cartoon.
Oh, they Yeah, but she fell in like a portal, and then they found her again eventually.
Oh yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, but this is just.
She did.
Yeah. But I mean, at first I'm like, is she like fully dead? Because I mean, it wouldn't put it past them. Even in the previous continuity, they would drop bodies. They didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like they're like, Hal Jordan's already dead in this continuity. We'll drop villains left and right. We don't care. Sinestro's dead. The Green Lantern Corps is dead. Fuck everything. Burn it all to the ground.
Man.
I mean, what? These are the people that made Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, where everybody died.
Man, yeah, that movie's crazy.
Can't believe they let them make that.
Yeah.
It's like, what about a movie where every DC character dies or just something horrible happens to them? Or both.
Superman will fuse with Trigon. Then we get like a demon-powered Superman.
You'll see Nightwing impaled. You'll see Shazam like ripped into pieces. You'll see Green Lantern ripped in half. Superboy gets his neck snapped.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how so many others.
That was part of the weird New 52 kind of continuity they did for a while.
Yeah. Of course, now we're in the what they're calling the Tomorrowverse.
Yeah. So this is like their other continuity that...
Which I guess is technically the rebooted version of that because of the way the Apocalypse War ended. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Like, these are good-looking animated movies anyway, but...
We'll see how many more that we get.
Yeah, that's really the main question, because as we all know, Warner Brothers, and DC in particular, is under new management. As it happens every, 3 years.
It's happening quicker and quicker these days.
So,
to the point I'm wondering who's going to be in charge next year.
Spin the wheel.
Oh no, Michael Bay. Ah!
Man, he gets so many explosions.
No! He'll blow up Metropolis. More so than Snyder did. He'll do injustice. But he won't do it justice.
I don't know. I don't think... I don't have as much disdain for Michael Bay as most people for some reason.
Because you only watched one Transformers
Yeah,
movie.
because it was bad, and I was just like, okay, that's enough of that. And then... but then everybody else went to do it 4 more times. 5 more times.
Well, nobody watched the 5th one.
Oh, yeah.
I think anyone that saw the 4th one was like, done.
That one almost got me back. I'm like, oh, so they're doing like King Arthur stuff? I like that. Oh, wait a minute. This is a Transformers movie? Man, fuck this. But with that being said, I don't know what else to say about the Legion of Superheroes.
I mean, like I said, I not a fan of the Legion of Superheroes. This movie's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one day if I see like, oh, this Legion of Superhero story is really great, maybe I'll read it.
Then you'll change your mind and you'll be like, I understand why the comic book creators love these characters with generic names.
I mean, it's possible. There has to be a reason. There must be good comics. I'm sure. There has to be.
Either that or just like, you can literally do anything you want with the Legion of Superheroes because
nobody
nobody
cares.
cares.
And they're in the future, so if we don't like what you did, we just say that didn't happen and there's a new future.
Yeah, with all new heroes like Eyeball Boy and...
No, it has to still be the same lame ones with no real changes whatsoever from the 60s.
They're all lame, like Refrigerator Lad.
That's not a one.
And Mixer Girl.
Oh, yeah.
And Water Lass.
That could be one. We did get a post-credit scene.
Right.
Which I believe was teeing up for the next installment in this continuity, Justice League Warworld, which is supposed to come out later this year.
Which hopefully comes out.
Nice.
Or, like you said while we were watching it, Warner Brothers unceremoniously cancels everything, and the last thing we see is Batman and Superman get annihilated by a beam in space. Spoilers.
I mean, granted, they're clearly being transported to Warworld, but if for some reason that movie gets vaulted, the Tomorrowverse ends with Batman and Superman being obliterated.
Yep. Batman and Superman are dead. Good night, everybody.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think these movies do just well enough that's why they've kept going this entire time.
They're fun. They're cool. I like them a lot.
I see no reason why they won't continue.
And if DC cancels the animated movies, I will hate them for the rest of my days.
I mean, I won't hate DC, but I hate the people that made the decision to do that to DC.
That's true. But anyway.
Legion of Superheroes. Well, it's really just a Supergirl and Brainiac 5 movie. And if you're a fan of Mon-El, I'm sorry. Because they made him a villain for some reason.
His weakness is a pencil.
Stab that motherfucker in an eye.
Yep.
Oh my god.
That's it for the Out of Touch podcast. Bouncing boy. Matter eating lad.
Arm fall off boy.
So lame.
No, God, no!